and a very happy Wednesday to everyone. It is January 28th, 2026, and welcome back to the deep end of the pool. I have to admit, if I sound a little scattered today, it's because I am currently surrounded by what can only be described as a chaotic explosion of luggage.
It really is a disaster zone in here. I'm looking at your suitcase, and I'm seeing enough wool sweaters for an Arctic expedition, not a trip to New York.
Hey, have you seen the forecast? The polar vortex is real,
Mhm.
okay? I am not taking chances with those wind tunnels on Fifth Avenue. But yes, for our listeners, the energy is high because we are literally zipping up our bags as we speak. We are heading to the Big Apple for a 10-day mix of vacation and some serious market watching.
It's going to be a fascinating time to be there. Wall Street in January 2026 has a very specific nervous energy.
It does, and I promise you, while we might not be able to drop a full deep dive every single day while we're navigating the subway and hunting for the perfect bagel, the temptation to report back will be strong. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for anything that screams opportunity in the city that never sleeps, so expect some updates from the road.
Absolutely. But before we get on that plane, we have a mission to complete. And it's a mission that takes us far away from the Hudson River all the way to the other side of the Atlantic.
We are looking at a country that sits right in the geopolitical crosshairs. Rumano, La Bella Romania. We are asking what is going on in Bucharest. Because for years, this was the quiet success story of Eastern Europe. But looking at the source stack today, it feels like the plot has twisted.
It has. It's becoming a bit of an economic thriller. We're analyzing Romania not just as a country, but as, a bellwether for the whole region. The question we're trying to answer is simple but heavy. Is this nation still the tiger of the East, carrying through growth records? Or is it a tiger in a cage that it built for itself?
I love that visual, even if it is a bit ominous. So to figure out if the tiger is trapped, what exactly are we digging into today?
We have a very robust stack. We've gone through the IMF Article 4 consultations from late 2025, which, spoiler alert, are quite stern. We have reports from the European Commission, some fascinating foreign direct investment surveys from EY, and the latest financial reports from the Romanian-born tech giant, UiPath.
Okay, let's start with the good times. Because for a while there, Romania wasn't just doing well. They were essentially a convergence machine.
Machine is the right word. If you look at the data since they joined the EU in 2007, it's actually a textbook example of what economists call the Solow model in action.
Okay, pause. You know I love it when you drop a model on us, but let's break that down. When you say Solow model, what are we actually seeing on the ground? Is that just academic jargon?
Not at all. It's actually very visible.
Oh.
So, Robert Solow won a Nobel Prize for this. The basic idea is that developing economies, if they have the right institutions, should naturally grow much faster than developed ones. Think of it like upgrading a workshop. If you have nothing but a hammer and someone gives you a power drill, your productivity skyrockets by like 1,000%.
Right.
But if you already have a high-tech factory, getting one more drill doesn't change much. Romania was a guy with a hammer. They started with a low capital base, so every new factory, every new highway, every new tech hub created massive returns.
The ketchup fizz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they caught up fast. By 2024, their GDP per capita, adjusted for purchasing power, hit 78% of the EU average.
78%. That actually sounds higher than I expected.
It's incredible. To give you context, they've overtaken Hungary. They're breathing down Poland's neck. 20 years ago, the idea that Romania would be economically wealthier per capita than Hungary was, well, it was unthinkable.
So they were the new cool kid on the Eastern European bloc. But looking at the 2024 and 2025 numbers in front of me, it looks like that power drill effect is wearing off. The absorption has stopped.
The engine is definitely sputtering. If 2022 and 2023 were the boom years, 2024 and 2025 were the reality check. Growth slowed significantly. 2024 saw only 0.9% real growth, and the first half of 2025, a meager 0.3%.
Roach, that is dangerously close to spelling out completely. That's practically a flat line. What hit the brakes so hard?
It was a perfect storm. First, private consumption took a hit. Inflation scared people, so they stopped spending. But the big drag, the anchor really, was the industrial sector. Chemicals, metallurgy, the heavy stuff. They struggled with high energy prices. But crucially, they struggled because their biggest customer stopped buying.
Let me guess. Germany.
Germany.
We've talked about this before. When Germany sneezes, Eastern Europe catches a cold.
Exactly. The German industrial machine is the main customer for Romanian manufacturing. When German factories slow down, they stop ordering parts from Romania. It was immediate.
So growth is vanishing. But usually when growth slows, you'd expect the government to tighten its belt, right? Maybe save some money.
You would think. But this brings us to the horror movie part of the episode, the twin deficits.
That sounds like a terrible WWE tag team.
It's worse. It's a nightmare for central bankers. The twin deficits refers to having both a fiscal deficit, meaning the government spends more than it earns, and a current account deficit, meaning the country imports more than it exports.
Let's tackle the government's checkbook first. How deep in the red are they?
It is alarming. In 2024, the budget deficit exceeded 9% of GDP.
Whoa, wait, 9%.
Yes,
That isn't just over budget, we lost control of the credit card territory. That was the highest in the entire European Union, wasn't it?
it was. And the frustrating part, the part that really annoys the IMF, is how they got there. It's what we call pro-cyclical policy.
Explain that for us.
Okay, so standard economic wisdom says, when the economy's good, the government should save money. Pay down debt, prepare for a rainy day. That's counter-cyclical. Romania did the opposite. When the economy was booming, they hit the gas, they passed huge hikes in public wages and pensions, they gave out generous tax exemptions to the construction and IT sectors.
So they were throwing a party while the sun was shining instead of fixing the roof.
Perfectly put. They spent money like the good times would never end. And then the German economy slowed down, the revenue stopped coming in, but those higher wages and pensions, you can't just take those back. They are permanent expenses.
So now they have a massive bill to pay and less income to pay it with. And I assume this bleeds into the second twin, the current account deficit.
It does. That reached 8.2% of GDP in 2024. Basically, Romania is buying way more from abroad than it is selling. And to close that gap, they are relying on debt. They're borrowing from foreign investors to pay the grocery bill.
That sounds incredibly risky. If I'm a credit rating agency, I'm looking at this and reaching for the red pen. Are they pulling the fire alarm?
They are standing right next to it, hand on the lever. Romania is currently investment grade, but only by one notch. They are one bad move away from junk status. The outlooks from the agencies have been negative for a while. It's a very precarious position.
Okay, so let me summarize the cage we're talking about. We have a stalling engine, a government that spent all its savings, and a credit rating hanging by a thread. Logic dictates that foreign investors should be running for the hills.
Logic would dictate that.
But looking at the EY surveys, they aren't. This is the part that confused me. Explain this paradox.
It is a fascinating disconnect. Despite the doom and gloom on the macro level, the micro level tells a different story. In 2024, the number of foreign direct investment projects actually jumped 57%.
A 57% jump. That's a boom. Who is putting money into a country with a 9% deficit?
The usual suspects are still there. Germany is top, despite their own issues. But look at the list. Turkey is up to second place. The U.S. is third. People are still building things in Romania.
So are they just ignoring the deficit? Or do they know something we don't?
They aren't ignoring it. They are just changing what they build. This is the aha moment in the data. While the number of projects went up, the total value of investment dropped 17%. And most shockingly, job creation dropped 31%.
Wait, more projects, but 31% fewer jobs. How does that math work?
2 words, robots and algorithms.
Ah.
This is the structural shift. For 20 years, investors went to Romania for cheap labor. You built a factory in Cluj or Bucharest because the wages were lower than in France. But those wages have gone up. Remember the government hikes we talked about?
Right.
So now, you don't go to Romania to build a sweatshop with 500 workers. You go there to build a highly automated facility with 50 engineers and 500 robots. These new investments are capital-intensive, not labor-intensive.
That is a huge shift. They aren't hiring hands anymore. They're installing processors.
Precisely. The drivers for investment in the survey used to be low cost. Now, the top drivers are market access and supply chain efficiency. Investors want technology and capability. They're looking for a smarter Romania, not a cheaper one.
That makes sense. It's like Romania is graduating. They're moving from the assembly line to the control room.
That's a great way to put it. But graduating is expensive. You need a different kind of workforce for the control room. You don't need manual labor. You need tech talent.
Which is the perfect segue to talk about the crown jewel of that control room economy. Before we do that, though, we want to take a quick second to talk to you, our listeners.
If you like what you're hearing today, we invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment on what topics you'd like us to address in future episodes.
Absolutely. And in the description of this deep dive, you will find a PayPal link if you want to support this project. Your contribution helps a lot, so we can keep making content like this. We don't ask for more than the cost of a coffee. Thanks for your support.
Now back to the robots.
Yes. You can't talk about smart Romania without talking about the decacorn, UiPath.
UiPath is fascinating.
Oh.
They are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker PATH, but they were born in Bucharest.
Oh.
They are the prime example of Romania's brain operating at a global level.
And looking at their fiscal year 2025 numbers, the brain is healthy. Revenue of 1.43 billion, up 9%. ARR grew 14%.
They are a cash-generating machine. But what's interesting to me isn't the current money, it's the pivot. For a long time, UiPath was the king of RPA, robotic process automation.
The digital intern, basically, copy-pasting from Excel.
Right. Boring, repetitive stuff. But the world has changed. Generative AI is here. And UiPath knows that if they just stick to copy-paste bots, they'll die. So they were moving to agentic automation.
Agentic automation. It sounds sci-fi. What is the actual difference between a bot and an agent?
It's the difference between following a recipe and being a chef. An RPA bot does step A, then step B. If step B fails, the bot crashes. An AI agent says, step B failed. I will try step C, or maybe I'll email the vendor to ask why. It thinks, plans, and acts with oversight.
So it's less of an intern and more of a manager.
Correct. And UiPath is betting the farm on this. They acquired a company called Peak AI specifically to build these agents for retail and manufacturing.
And this connects perfectly to what we just saw in the FDI data. The manufacturing sector in Romania needs automation to deal with higher wages. UiPath is essentially selling the solution to the very problem the country is facing.
It is poetic, isn't it? The Romanian economy creates the pressure-high wages, and a Romanian company creates the relief valve automation. However, even UiPath isn't immune to the macro environment. In their 2026 outlook, they noted macroeconomic uncertainty, particularly in the U.S. public sector, so the headwinds are blowing on everyone.
So we have this high-tech sector pushing forward, trying to break into the future. But we have to drag ourselves back to the present reality for the average person living in Timișoara or IIO. We are in January 2026. What does the year look like for them?
It looks expensive.
Inflation again. I thought we were done with that battle.
We thought we were, but we are calling this the second wave.
Why is it coming back?
Remember that 9% budget deficit?
Hard to forget.
Well, the government could just ignore it. The EU was breathing down our necks. To fix the budget, they had to raise taxes. They hiked the VAT, the sales tax and excise duties on fuel and alcohol.
Ah, I see. So the cure for the deficit is causing the fever of inflation.
Exactly. When you raise sales taxes, prices go up mechanically. Inflation is expected to hit 9.6% by the end of 2025 data and carry deep into 2026. And because of this, the National Bank of Romania, the NBR, is handcuffed.
They can't lower interest rates to help growth because inflation is too high.
They can't. They are holding the policy rate high, around 6.5%. The central bank governor has been very clear. They're being patient. They won't cut rates until spring or summer of 2026.
So borrowing stays expensive. Mortgages stay expensive. Business loans stay expensive. It feels like the country is stuck in mud.
Mud is a good analogy. Economists call it the middle income trap.
That's the danger zone.
It is. It's when a country gets rich enough that it's no longer a cheap labor destination. Romania is already there. But it isn't yet innovative or efficient enough to compete with the rich countries like Germany or the U.S. You get stuck in the middle.
Stagnation.
To escape the trap, Romania has to switch its model. It has to stop growing by spending consumption and start growing by innovation and investment.
And this brings us back to our title, The Tiger in a Cage. The cage isn't foreign enemies or bad geography.
No, the cage is the fiscal deficit. The deficit limits what the government can do. They can't invest in infrastructure or education because they are too busy paying off the debt from the party years. If they can fix the budget without killing the economy, the tiger breaks free.
Right.
If they can't, the tiger stays in the cage.
It really feels like a pivotal moment. I was thinking about this while I was packing. It's like a computer system.
Oh, so?
Well, think about it. Romania has the hardware. They have the energy resources, the automotive factories, the physical location in Europe.
Right.
And they clearly have the software. They have UiPath, a booming IT sector, brilliant engineers who are building AI agents.
True. The components are top tier.
But the operating system, the government fiscal management, is full of bugs. It's glitching out.
That is a perfect analogy. And right now, the system is crashing. The new administration's job in 2026 is to patch that operating system before the whole thing blue screens.
Can they do it?
They have the tools. They have massive EU funds available if they meet the targets. But it's going to be a painful year of austerity to get there. It's going to be a cold winter before the spring.
Well, we will certainly be watching from the sidelines. And maybe checking the Romanian stock index from a cafe in New York City over the next 10 days.
Definitely. I'll trade you a bagel for a stock tip.
Deal. And with that, we reach the end of today's deep dive. We hope you liked it, learned something new, and will join us for the next one.
Many thanks, and we will meet again very soon. Remember that the PayPal link is in the description if you want to help us. Thanks once again.
Next time you hear from us, we'll be in the Big Apple. Cheers.